What's going on? Welcome back to the channel. Today I have a product unboxing and review for you. The good people over at Tulsa Arcade reached out to me and asked if I wouldn't mind reviewing one of their control panels for the version 2 Countercades that Arcade One-Up has just produced. I guess they saw what I was doing on the channel and realized this guy needs some help. And between you and me, I'll take all the help I can get. The product comes very well packaged. You get some cool stickers, the receipt obviously, some decals. And, you know, I got to say, I'm looking at a lot of layers of bubble wrap, and that's always a good thing. Now get out your knife or your, scissors, your cutting utensil of choice. Begin to cut through the layers. And yes, it is very well packaged. I can't imagine they did this special for me. This is going to be something that I would imagine every customer can expect. And when you're dealing with artwork, it's really important to have that really wrapped up and secured. To make sure that there's no damage, no scratching, nothing like that. And when you finally get it out of the package, you're going to find one more layer of plastic. That's the protective film that is protecting the artwork, as the name implies. And when you pull this apart, you see that, well, we've got a pretty nice looking piece. First impressions. Now it's obviously half-inch MDF, just like Arcade One-Up uses. You're getting real T-molding with this, not that fake T-molding tape that Arcade One-Up uses. Not necessarily a knock on them, but when you buy something like this from a third party, you're going to get real T-molding. You can see the hole there is drilled for your mounting screw, but the decal is sort of covering it, or the artwork is covering that. So I would recommend piercing that with a knife before you put your screw in. Holes are all nice and machined. I don't know if that's a Forstner bit they use or maybe CNC, but looks good. First impressions. Love the 6-button layout, obviously. Now, of course, let's set this aside and bring in the real deal for a comparison. So right away we have the stock control panel to the right, the Tulsa Arcade to the left, and you're going to notice some differences in the artwork. So it's not an exact copy, which is fine. I like the way they've moved some of the images around so that you can still see them with this new button layout. But you're going to notice the blacks are not black on the Tulsa Arcade piece, more of a brown. That is a color variation worth noting for sure. And another difference is going to be, and maybe a negative, we'll see how this thing mounts up, is you're not going to have that beveled edge that you do on the stock piece. That may prevent us from getting tied up against that screen. We'll know that for sure here in a few when we mount it. Just something to be aware of. Now, it's as long as it doesn't mess with the fitment, this won't be a negative. Just something to point out. Definitely a difference for sure. You can also see that the wood is a little bit thicker on the Tulsa Arcade piece. And then looking at them at this distance, you can definitely tell that there is a difference in the color, especially with the blacks between the two. Here I'm just sort of illustrating what it looks like if you have a deck protector on. This is obviously not going to fit with this with the new button configuration. But you can see how that looks with the Tulsa Arcade piece. Doesn't really change the colors that much. And then let's set this to the side. We'll put the stock piece back in just for a comparison for those that are a little bit curious. You can see it doesn't really tint the color much. If you plan on running a clear deck protector, not going to make much of a difference there. All right, so now I want to take a look at the decal or the overlay artwork quality. We know that there's going to be a difference, obviously, with Arcade One-Up's using sort of a painted-on technique. The Tulsa Arcade tends to use sort of your typical vinyl that's applied on top. And I wanted to know what it would take to take this off. Let's say you get it and you don't like the artwork, or maybe you have it for a while and you want to make a change. What's it going to take to remove this? Maybe just put different artwork on top. I don't normally suggest that. I always like going straight to the wood. You don't want to bunch up layers. You really could have some separation. But you see that when this comes apart, it doesn't really damage the MDF underneath at all. That's a good thing, especially if you're looking to make a change. So we know what we're working with there with the vinyl. And let's check out the stock control panel from Arcade One-Up, see if anything's changed. And of course it does appear that they're using the same painted on sort of technique. You're not going to be able to peel this thing off. I'm doing my best jerry-rig everything impression here. Just showing a little scratch test. Let's see the resiliency of the artwork itself. I'm applying medium pressure here, so you're going to get some scratches, either way, but it's much less severe with the Tulsa Arcade graphics. It's kind of a it's kind of a catastrophic failure when it comes to the stock Arcade 1-Up. So you have to run that deck protector. I mean, it's a requirement at this point, and it's something that I think that's sort of baked in the cake. Everyone knows. If you've got any experience with Arcade 1-Up, you have to run that deck protector, because this graphic is pretty much garbage. All right, let's go ahead and just take off the rest of this decal. I'm not real thrilled with the image quality, but the vinyl quality itself is pretty good. It comes apart in one piece and really doesn't damage the MDF at all. So changing this over to some custom artwork is really going to be no problem whatsoever. So, and the finish is pretty good on this. Above average quality MDF for sure. Wanted to show just a few buttons installed. These are, I think, 24 millimeters, so a little bit smaller. The holes in this are 30 mil. And this is a cheap, one of the cheap Amazon kits. Nothing, it's not SandWire hat. But just to give you sort of an idea of how this all fits together with the button layout, I don't think that the joystick is really going to be an issue. It looks like it's going to fit well and still have plenty of clearance to mount in the arcade itself. So just giving you an idea of what you can expect when you're mounting your controls. All right, the moment of truth. Let's get this thing mounted and see if that lack of a bevel is going to hurt us as far as the clearances go. And the fitment looks pretty good. There is a little bit of a gap there. It is more than the Arcade 1-Up, the stock Arcade 1-Up control panel, but it is even and consistent all the way around. It's not. It doesn't, bother me looking at it. So it's definitely a great replacement. Here's the before and the after. Now, if you're a do-it-yourselfer like I am, you can definitely make one of these at home, but it's going to cost you a little bit more than a quarter sheet of half-inch MDF. You're going to need a few tools. To achieve these results, you're really going to want a jigsaw, a skill saw. You're going to need a drill press with a Forstner bit to get those holes nice and clean. You could probably get away with a cordless drill with a hole saw, but you tend to have blowout on the back side. T-molding, obviously, and a router and a slot cutter to mount that T-molding. So it's going to cost a couple bucks. And then you got to have the skill to run these tools. Now, if you head on over to their website, you see that these things are actually on sale. Prices range from $25 to $36. You see that those holes are CNC cut, so it's tough to get those results at home. You're going to have a few options, 5-button or 8-button layout. You can pick the color of the T-molding. You can pick the graphics that you want on there, the 4, stock Countercade layouts. And if you tick every single box, every option known to man, including that deck protector, you're going to max this thing out at about $80. But if you don't want all those options and you just want in the configuration that you saw in this video, you're going to end up paying about $36. Okay, so there you have it. I am actually going to use this control panel on my second project. Not the Raiden project. I'm going to have to do something a little funky there, but you will definitely see this one in the future. Special thanks to Tulsa Arcade for sending this my way. I think it's a great product, but let me know what you think down in the comments section below. Like, subscribe, all that great stuff. Y'all have a blessed day, and I will see you next time.